Be on point. I got the on point experience. You know why? Because my name is Dr. Dre. I got the Yasmin on point experience. I got the Big Jeff on point experience. I got the Ray Ray on point experience. And of course, I'm with the man D Nasty with the on point experience, because that's the only way Dr. Dre rolls. On point experience.
Yes, yes, and we're back, and you just listened to the sounds of the Get Free movement, Amy G, Asia Rainey, Brady Watt, and Burgundy Williams with Get Free, a love song in the age of anxiety.
I think we really needed to hear that song in light of the last
Absolutely.
interview. I mean,
absolutely. That was so appropriate.
Yeah. I tell you what's going to be more appropriate.
What's that?
This conversation piece my boy Will is about to put on.
Oh, what intro.
It's going to be appropriate.
Hey.
Do your thing, baby boy.
Hey.
Topic. Why are today's men so damn weak?
Woo, woo.
I know y'all ready to go into it.
Let's talk about it.
All right.
Dear Will, my partner and I are in our mid-40s. Excuse me.
Are you right? Are you reading a letter? What's
I'm
happening
reading a
right
letter.
now?
I'm reading a letter.
Is this your treasure? What's
Oh,
happening?
you know what? You're right. Stop. Pause. Rewind. Good morning, everyone. This is your segment called Conversation Piece, where you have Will Jameer Townsend, and I'm now opening my treasure chest of letters.
What? I was gonna cue the treasure.
My man, I like it. That's the right, D.
Yasmin put me on blast.
I love it. I know, right? I love it. Have my back. All right, we're going to go with today's topic. Today's topic is, why are today's men so damn weak? Dear Will, my partner and I are in our mid-40s. I've been dating the man for 4 years. For the first year and a half, it's been bliss, and I've been very happy all the time, my girlfriends say. He's been working, and he has his own place, which is great. This man is a true catch for any and every woman. Tall, dark, and handsome, and great in bed. We spend a lot of time together. I don't know what the chuckle's for.
I haven't heard anything wrong yet. All right, okay.
All right. We spent, not yet, okay. We spent a lot of time together. So when his lease was up, we decided for him to move in with me, being the fact that we're always together. Shortly after moving in, he lost his job. And there is the problem. The problem begins. He's been out of work for almost 2 years and seemed to have no interest in finding work. Each time I bring up to him, he tells me to relax, stop beating on him with this, and that I'm becoming or trying to become an alpha female. I'm not trying to do nothing but be who I am and be true to myself. I can be a little bossy, I admit, but I'm stressing because bills are due, and they're piling up, and he's eating all the food that I bring in. And on top of all of that, he's hanging out with his friends on a constant basis. His friends have a huge problem also with us, from the way they speak, act, and dress, pants saggers, quote unquote. They're constantly around and seem to just be taking up space. I love a little thuggish in my man and used to think he was very handsome. But with all of these issues, I'm starting to see another side of him I never seen before, and he's not looking that attractive to me. I fell in love with the man, and now I'm feeling like as if I don't have no respect for him. I need help fixing this. Although I come from a family of men that have been grinders, that have went out, got the pig, bought it back, that have grinded all their lives, and now I'm stuck with a man who's telling me to relax. I'm finding myself losing respect. Please help me.
Well, first, she ain't stuck.
Right, this ain't
what's
farms,
that? Right.
the farm workers. You can leave.
You gotta go.
Kick him
out.
out.
To the left.
Stuck.
People still sag their pants in their 40s?
Yes, they do. Trust me.
That is one of the
crazy.
That's one of the saddest things I ever see.
So,
I don't sag mine now.
Exactly.
so the deal is, as you all know,
Sorry.
she's in love with this guy, right? It was great at the beginning, and now that he lost his job, things have started deteriorating. But the deal is that
he's lost. No, it's not. He just lost. It's been like 2 years.
He's been
Right.
2 years since
That's
he
a
lost
long
his job.
time.
He's telling her to relax, and you're becoming too bossy. Alpha
Relax.
female. There's no jobs out there. He's looking, but then she finds it that he's hanging out with friends.
Yeah,
He's,
I get it.
and she said something in the letter I thought was very funny that my mom used to tell my brother. When I leave the house and you still in that same place when I come back, you have a problem.
Right.
So
Wrong title.
tell me. Talk to me.
The title says, "Why are today's men so damn weak?"
Right.
This title should read, "Why are you enabling this man?"
Okay.
Right, and she's not bossy. She's the boss.
Yeah, she's the boss.
She's running the
That's-
household.
That's all on her.
Okay. Okay. But let's speak about today's men, which is that's the title she gave me. And,
Well, I don't
and there's
think
a lot. There's
I
a
don't
lot.
think that's a characteristic of today's men.
No. This is more to the letter, but because of
Okay.
time, I had to shorten it up. But she speaks in the other parts of her letter how today's men seem to be not like yesteryear's men. When my fathers and our grandfathers was out there banging and grinding and bringing home that money and making sure that money was constantly in the house, that there was no excuses. She was speaking also in the letter how about there was things in the house that needed to be fixed, and he just never got to it. Things like he could have done, like washing dishes, things of that nature.
I think it's because masculine men sometimes are frowned upon in today's society. I think emasculated men are the new thing. And unfortunately, some of these emasculated men are just playing the role that's been provided for them.
Okay.
But
do
is
you-
that an excuse?
No, it's not an excuse. It is what it is. I mean, when you make when you sculpt and mold something to be what you sculpt and mold it to be, you can't be upset that it is what it is. Like you just said, she's not stuck.
No, absolutely not.
So instead of writing a letter about all the inequities that he's doing,
Right.
this could be real simple. Hey, look, I loved you. You had a job when you first got here. You don't have a job.
Your lease ran out. Like,
Right. Well, he's also stating in the letter that she stated in the letter that she thinks that he's going through depression.
so you didn't read any of this stuff that you keep saying
Well,
she's
no,
stating.
yeah. I tried
So-
to shorten the
so
letter
what do
because
you
of
want us
time.
to- no, I get
wanted-
you,
one of
but
the
what do you
things
want us to address?
I wanted to address because I read the entire letter,
Right.
and also the backdrops to the letter and
Right.
everything. And one of the things that I've come
sad.
to be a problem with our men. I believe in balance. Nature has a way of balancing things, and when things are not balanced properly, it will force you to deal with balance. We, as some of us, not all of us, some of us as men, we constantly talk about women becoming alpha males, right, or alpha females, and we're not understanding that sometimes that I think that we're causing that because we are becoming so effeminate. You understand? A lot of us, like I was posting something in Facebook, they have men that actually are getting eyelashes done.
What?
Yes,
Yeah.
there are men there's men actually doing things to themselves that women will do. That like I believe that things back in the days was so simple because everybody knew their roles, and now you got men that want to get in touch with their feminine side and they want to be prettier than women, and then they have the audacity to say, "Well, oh, you too bossy," or "You're alpha female." But again, we go back to balance because we're not doing what we need to be doing as men. Definitely black men. Being productive in our community, in our families, this is causing her to be what she has to be to survive for her family, survive for that unification. Now, this woman here, as I said in the letter to her, you are an enabling it. But I think this is just wording for men. If we're not productive,
So
these
basically,
situations-
that men feel this man feels okay to do those things.
he feels is okay.
So it's a problem there
Right.
because he feels okay
Right.
doing those things.
and she's not
But
used to this.
we can't necessarily speak to how he feels, though.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm trying to gather when you speak of the state of the man. I think if you're speaking particularly of black women in society, they've always been like in control of the household and doing things and being in charge. But I'm just trying to gather the conversation here of her accepting this versus
Right.
why it's okay for him to do it. Right. So.
It's human
I know.
nature.
What-
I mean,
Yeah.
it's just nature. I mean, people are going to do what you allow them to do.
That's-
If you allow someone, 2 years is a
Sometimes-
long
I don't
time to
think
be
it has anything
unemployed.
to do-
Right.
I
I
could
don't
understand
think
if it was a couple of months, 6
Right.
months,
Right.
7 months.
2 years.
2 years.
14
2
months.
years.
2 years is a long time to be unemployed.
It
And
seems like
again,
24.
he's unemployed because he's still able to eat.
Right.
You're feeding him.
Right, she's feeding them.
You're feeding him, and,
Correct.
and the bills will continue to be paid. So you want him to get up. You want him to get out. Take away, treat him like a child.
One of my questions to you guys was what do you think the state of men? What do you think is happening to the state of our men here in America?
Well, without being homophobic, and moving in that direction.
I definitely wasn't gonna go there, but I'm right with you. What you about to say?
But when you speak to of that, I don't know what you mean really, like what's happening to the state of men. It's certain social media allows us to see a lot of things that we probably wouldn't normally see.
Right.
That's probably been existing for quite some time.
Right.
So I don't know specifically, but that's a broad question.
Right.
Because there's some men right now that I know that think they got it going on, and we could pinpoint there's some problems there too, right?
Right.
Same with women.
Right.
But what do you think? I mean, like what Ebony, you haven't really.
Ebony. What do
I
you
see
think?
it from both fronts. So I think, again, in this particular essence, we can't necessarily talk about the man without talking about the woman. It seems like there's an accountability issue here that
Right.
she has to sort of be held accountable because you can choose what you deal with and what you allow. So with that being said, at some point, like someone spoke about lease, okay, it's time for you to go.
Right.
But as a man, in no way, shape, or form should he feel that it's comfortable for him to do that, I know, for me, for example, I can speak about so many points in my life where I've held down 2 jobs while going to school and so forth. So even if he had to hold down a
Raising
job
children.
at Mickey D's and maybe
Right.
Clean a toilet.
a janitor or
Right.
whatever, like why do you deem it's okay to just sit there and not go out and get it? So I think it's more about that. So again, there's accountability issue on her end, but I feel like any man or any person for that matter should be like, okay, look, if I have to feed my family and myself, then
Right.
sitting here on this couch and playing a game and chilling with my homeboys is not okay. Let me go get it, by any means necessary legally.
Yeah.
Right. I agree with that. I understand that she holds some type of responsibility, right? I understand she's a woman that loves this guy for whatever reason. She loves this guy. I understand that as well. But it comes a point in time in a man's life where nothing else matters but my unification with my woman. I think that it's ingrained. It should be ingrained in us as a small young kid that you have to be a provider. You have to get up and get out and get something.
Right.
You can't just sit around. For me to sit around and
Shout out
while
to Big
you-
Boy and Outkast. Go for it.
No doubt. For me to sit around playing video games at 25, at 30, at 40, whatever the age is, watching my woman go out, fight the world, right? Come back home, and I'm making excuses of not finding employment. When you can work on a farm, right? I mean, you could do something. I mean, you could do something. I just find that to be, and it's just an excuse. I speak to young boys in this new property that I'm at every day. And the lack of productivity, it's almost insulting to me because I don't come from that. You understand what I'm saying? The pants sagging and that whole demeanor of we a king, we kings. That's
think-
go ahead.
It all goes back to one thing. You were probably raised around strong men.
Definitely.
You got to understand, in today's world, what's happening is these men aren't being raised by men.
Okay. That's where
Now,
we go.
that contradicts something that I said on the show 2 weeks ago.
It did.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a sense.
we remember on this show.
Yeah, so do I.
but
so do I.
go ahead. I feel
But here's the thing. It's not that the women are raising them to be less of men.
right.
It's just that the uncles and everyone else aren't stepping up. And when I made the comment here 2 weeks ago about that, I did it and promoted the uncles and other men in the family that have stepped up. No
Right.
longer are these guys stepping up.
Right.
Right.
And so these young men that are growing up today are growing up with a feminine perspective. One of the feminine perspectives, and I don't want to sound like I'm a sexist
No,
or whatever,
No, it's true.
This is where I'm direct.
is being taken care of,
Right.
right? His boys are probably making him feel like, oh, you pimping. Like,
You know how we do.
yeah, you know how we do.
Yeah.
Or you ain't got to work and she taking care of you, you pimping. Like,
Right.
pimping ain't easy. That's a quote, right?
Right.
Somebody got to do it. It all goes back to men being men, raising, helping raise men. It ain't got to be your son. It could be your nephew. It could be your next door neighbor.
Right.
You know, I enjoy these types of conversations, and I think because this is a community and we have both sides balanced here, I think that a lot of the women here have always been has been in a relationship with a man who has been unemployed,
Yes.
and that is hard to do because you do love that person.
Right.
But then it's always that, that come to Jesus moment when you're like, you gotta stand hard. I remember talking to my cousin, and she was just like, yo, he hasn't like really been looking for a job. And the advice that this older woman told me, sometimes you gotta sit there and get mad and start like really like sticking it to them and saying, this is not, you gotta be that person
Right.
that tells them they have to step up.
Yeah.
And it's, I think we've all done it. And it's just like, you have to get mean and angry and be like,
Another
yo,
side,
you got 2 weeks.
Right.
You know, or not we changing the locks. You know, you don't want to get that way because you do want to support. But I don't know what goes into the psyche during the time period. It's a lot of depression when men can't work and men can't
Right.
do what they want to do. But 2 years is
2 years is a long
very
is
time.
a very long time. You get a pass because we all have life for like maybe 6 months or
Yeah.
something, right? But 2 years is like, that's. Do you really need a man that bad? Like that's the question you're asking.
Right.
Like,
Right.
really, is it
Right.
that hard to find a man that
Yeah.
you finding somebody that's just a dead weight? Like, you know, they're not uplifting us. So I don't know about the state of the man, but right now I'm in this whole thing of like it takes a community, right?
Absolutely.
And so like the state of it speaks to Ron last week saying like you gotta be who you are to be around other people that are positive.
Yeah.
And so like that guy he gets to go to the on the curb because he needs to get out.
You wanted to speak on?
Yeah, because Will and I was actually just speaking about this on the way in because I'm a mother of a son, a soon-to-be 16-year-old boy, and I was telling Will about how he walks around so angry. And, you know, he's such a great kid. Long story short, he goes to this college prep high school, so he does academically well. I just recently put him in boxing. But, again, he's going through puberty, and there's no male role model in the home, no one male role model that's really that active in his life, right? And we sort of spoke about what you were alluding to earlier about someone stepping in. And thankfully, I have friends that have done this though through his boxing and through another friend of mine, just sort of connecting him in a circle of men that are professionals, that are educated, and that are, you know, on the right pathway. And thankfully that my son is not in the streets. He's such a great young man, and I want to make sure that it continues that way. But also that, you know, as he positions himself into adulthood, that he understands that he cannot be like this guy here. You know, if he has a family, that he's responsible for providing and holding up his end of the stick without feeling threatened by a secure, independent woman at the same time, right? So I think we sort of spoke about two things in this segment. It's really, number one, us as parents and as mothers raising our children, our sons, particularly in single parent households, to ensure that even if there's no male figure present, that we're maybe putting them in an environment that's surrounded by other men. And not being afraid to sort of reach out and say, hey, you know, can you help? And that doesn't mean financial help. It may just mean you grabbing him up and say, oh, I did boxing too. Let me take you, you know, down to the boxing gym. But then, like, you know, Yaz alluded to, is that us as women empowering our daughters to say, you know, don't be afraid to go to sleep alone. You know, lay by yourself at night. You
right.
do
Don't
not
tell
need
your
a
daughter
man that bad that you allow some man to live in your house for 2 years that isn't contributing. You can do better by yourself. There's a saying that says you can do bad by yourself. No, baby, I can do better by myself.
Tell
I
my
love
daughter
that. Queen, talk to me.
So,
You've been waiting for this come around. Huh?
it's just crazy. So I definitely feel I was on the same lane as Yaz. Like, I felt the first place I looked was self. So I'm like, what does this person feel about their self? Is there's like
Right.
low self-esteem happening or something like that? Or, you know, unfortunately, sometimes as women, we get in these relationships and we feel like we get to the point where we're tired of starting over. We're tired of giving ourselves, and then, you know, the numbers pile up or whatever foolishness. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it comes back to us. Like, yo, like, why can't I just leave and it be the end? You know what I'm saying? And instead of enduring the lack of, and I also thought about,
This is clearly women language.
I'm
We're like,
telling you, because we're like, sis.
I'm listening.
And then,
yeah.
But I gotta just say this, Quay. And you can go back.
Yeah.
I find it very interesting as I'm throwing this around because I'm finding out the women in here are really on this woman, where the men, we seem to be stuck on the actions of this man.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's wild how
But
we,
I also
I think it's both.
the
I mean,
other side, right? The other side,
It's human
that-
behavior. You're gonna,
Right.
people gonna do whatever they want to do.
Yeah,
It's
right.
how you
No, it's on
respond.
both.
No, people,
Yeah.
people
And the
will do what you allow them
That's
to do.
exactly
Right.
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 That's
The other
exactly right.
side of that though was what happened in the relationship. I'm gonna say that he was ambitious at some point in
Right.
his life, and
Right.
then that kind of disappeared once he lost his job.
Right.
It looks like. I mean, I don't know.
I can tell you what
Well,
happened. in the-
I know what happened.
Wait.
No, no, we all
I
know
can tell you what happened in the beginning.
Right.
Where's that part about
was up.
tall,
Good
dark,
and bad,
handsome, good and
right.
good?
You don't see any. You don't see faults.
you don't see false when
They
you're tall,
probably-
dark, and handsome.
some
And the
red
sex
flag
is
was
good,
already there, right? Like the funniest story for me is, and I hope he's not listening. One of my trainers, fine. After
You
he
said
started,
it 3 times. You don't have to say
no,
it
I've
again.
been saying I do have to because after he worked me out, I was like ugly. He was not fine anymore because you just be like this guy. So when everything looks great.
And you wonder why y'all had company in the basement. You wonder why. Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead, y'all.
Why you telling my business show like that?
I couldn't hold it. That's water. I couldn't hold it. I'm like,
Dang. So my point is that everything looks great in the beginning, right? And everything's fantastic. But when they start uncovering like stuff or exposing who you are, they don't
Right.
look that good anymore.
The attractiveness kind of stays.
So why is she surprised? I mean, like that isn't. I guess we all been there, done that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, I
so
really
follow the
don't-
old folks rule. Don't be shacking up.
That's
it's a-
I was gonna say that. Like, stop shacking
There's
up.
disadvantages, many
Yeah.
disadvantages of shacking up. I'm sorry, Kim. What were you gonna say?
Economic reasons
I
play a
was
big
gonna
role.
say also that I kind of forgot what I was gonna say.
I know
but
you
it had to do with the support system. That's
Right.
where I wanted to go. Like
Yes.
it's pretty much black and white. Like this person doesn't have a job. Kick them to the curb. But there's
Right.
also that
sure.
area where you want to be supportive and
Right.
you don't want to be, oh well, I'm a gold digger now because now that he
Right.
don't have a job,
Right.
like
Right.
I'm kicking him to
Six
the
and
curb.
seven-
But I
6 or
think we
7 months
spoke
of
about that
support.
supportive period,
Yeah.
right? We said 6 or
Right.
7
months
months.
6
Right.
months, 6, not
Because
even
I'm
7.
sorry, UPS is always hiring. Okay,
always
you better
hiring.
go sling some
UPS
packages.
is
and
always
something.
hiring.
I mean,
Right.
there
I might
are
need to-
jobs
And I
out
think-
here
I'm
that
gonna
are
go to UPS when I
hiring.
leave.
Right. I think people get caught up in that though. They don't know when the cutoff period of when does support become a crutch and when
Right.
does a crutch become enabling. And
Yes.
It reminds me of the SpongeBob episode when
Shut up! Yes, when SpongeBob was like, Squidward, get a job!
But you
On
know what?
that
Andrew
note,
Silk,
on that
your
note,
Majesty, I gotta say,
on that note,
I gotta say, this also reminds me of 2 weeks ago when you gave what had happened with the license, the expiration date with the license.
Oh, absolutely.
I
That
think
definitely plays a role
That
here.
definitely plays a role
Absolutely.
here. I think that's true.
you don't have a job, time to close this
Yeah,
relationship.
definitely.
But to your point, and thank you for this, Will. Thank you for this because this is always great to have these conversations just to appreciate what you have
Yes.
That's true.
Or
me
don't
right
have.
That's true.
and can live without.
We can live without. I gotta say for that, men. I feel that females are created for men for many different things, right? To be work with us, to build with us. No, listen what I'm saying. I'm talking about the spirituality of things, right? He created women to do certain things as we're supposed to do certain things, right? I believe that what is the problem?
Nothing.
That's what it's going. You got
Yeah, okay, all right.
You got 1
All right,
minute left,
you got it,
brother.
you got it.
6 months.
All right. But I think that we have to make sure that these men earn the right of being a producer. You understand? And if he's not producing, there is a expiration date that has to come. You have to cut.
You can start before that. Earn the right to get in the bed. Your
Hey,
body's
Come
hey,
on,
before you,
somebody.
hey,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
What?
Come on.
But
That's another whole.
That's a whole nother
So
segment.
this is
Lay
a
here, you
fantastic
gotta go
segment.
home.
Thank you all so much. Will,
Yes,
Jameer,
ma'am.
you're that person.
big time.
Balance. We need that.
You listening to On Point Experience. This has been an incredible show. Big shout out to everybody that's here. And we'll see you next week.
Yes, yes.
Good morning.